Okay, you can start.
Awesome. Welcome, my name is Tumelo Matole, and I will be reflecting on the team dynamics and management of teamwork, a collaborative effort completed by Team Tshebedisano members, who in name are Notando Sitole, Kudakwashe Chagweda, Daniel Nkutshweu, Tumelo Matole, and Comfort Lisilo. I am Tumelo Matole, and I will be the host of this presentation today. We'll begin with the Tshebedisano. We chose the name Tshebedisano, which is derived from the Sotho language's description of collaboration. The word reflects the resounding theme that describes the team's desire to be an effective group that can thrive despite the pressures of diversity and time constraints. Team Tshebedisano's mandate is to create a platform in which team members contribute and further emphasizes the need to maintain a sense of dignity and respect for each other's opinion during the completion of this assessment. Our purpose is to collectively contribute towards the successful completion of the experiential learning F3 assessment, as well as to create a framework of cooperation that increases each team member's participation in fulfillment of the assessment, as well as moving forward in different work environments. Our vision is to be a visionary team that is inspired to achieve group success through our differences. Our values are to maintain a sense of dignity and respect for each other, to maintain a sense of cooperation in fulfillment of the assessment, as well as to be transparent and clear in all group work undertakings, and the acknowledgement of commitment of all members to achieve success in fulfillment of the assessment, as well as to be accountable for the responsibilities in realization of all the aspects that have been discussed. Our strategy. We had chosen a communication strategy mostly for this assessment, as we felt as if the assignment had challenged us as a team to be dynamic in our adoption of a communication strategy. We had decided to use a dual communication strategy, which consisted of the attendance of on-campus meetings, as well as the alternative, which was online communications, which were conference calls, which were hosted on WhatsApp and Zoom respectively. The weekly campus meetings were held every Wednesday morning at the Boston Media House's think tank to address the shortcomings associated with the technical issues of digital communications. And the alternative communication strategy was to promptly share and discuss any immediate updates relating to the development of group assessments and the tasks at hand. Our team roles and responsibilities. Team Tshebedisano had decided to to actually assign each member a role, a distinctive role, in which you oversee various tasks and roles as part of your responsibilities. Beginning with our group leader, Notando Sitole, who would oversee the completion of all group-related tasks and the delegation of group member duties. She would chair and set the agenda for all group meetings, and she was also responsible for the completion of the written documents. Tumelo Matole, the group supervisor. He would oversee the cooperation of the group members and their respective tasks, and also supervise the consistency of all the group works and collaborations that were undertaken during the assessment. Comfort Lisilo, communication supervisor. He would often facilitate digital communications, schedule meetings, and sourcing of interactive team building activities. Kuda Chagweda, he is our research supervisor and was responsible for the compilation of the assignment research relating to both the final written documents as well as the completion of the presentation. Daniel Nkutshweu, presentation supervisor. He was responsible for the presentation design and the sourcing of interactive building activities along with Comfort Lisilo. He would also work hand in hand with Tumelo and Kuda in the completion of the presentation. Now, Team Tshebedisano description. We have a very diverse group of young people here, And I'd like to briefly go through the team description. We realize here that 3 of the 5 members of Team Tshebedisano are of South African origin, and the other 2 share their heritage, the Shona Ndebele heritage, and are of Zimbabwean origin. We had 2 members of the age of 25, one at the age of 24, the other the age of 22, and the youngest group member was 21 years old. 4 of the 5 members of Team Tshebedisano shared the compromising conflict handling approach, whereas there was only 1 member who had the collaborative conflict handling style approach. Team Tshebedisano's strengths. Team Tshebedisano's chosen group leader, Nothando, served with a sense of great determination that influenced the group. The work experience of Khuda Kwashe effectively fostered the interactive team building exercises as he provided the resources and the insight into teamwork and interactions. The age bracket between the youngest and oldest members of the team made it much more easier for us to communicate, as we could relate more to any pop cultural reference, from instance, that each member would make. It would give a clear insight into the thinking of each member. The diverse makeup of the group also encouraged the team to find suitable strategies, middle ground that supported the technical and communicative conduct of all Team Tshebedisano members. Now we'll be discussing the impact of Team Tshebedisano's conflict management SAQ results on team performance, which have been divided into 2, the positive impacts and the negative impacts. Let's go ahead and look into the positive impacts. The collaborative approach. One of the 5 members of Team Tshebedisano, who in this case was our team leader Nothando, possessed a collaborative approach, which made it possible for the group to adopt an attitude of being team players who are committed to the fulfillment of the various tasks at hand. The lone collaborative thinker, Nothando, was able to assimilate the responses and contributions of all team members into a well-structured assessment, the compromising approach. 4 of the 5 members of Team Tshebedisano share the compromising approach. This made it possible to a greater extent for the team to refrain from expressing emotionally charged frustration at group inefficiencies and maintain a sense of professionalism to actually get the work done. This effectively maximized the team's efficiency as solutions to assessment-related tasks were critically thought out, and we were able to reach a general settlement for group progress. The negative impact, in that only 1 of the 5 members who possessed the collaborative approach was often burdened with too many tasks, such as the assimilation of the group contribution into one structure. Complacency also played a huge role during the progress of the assessment. It became increasingly observable that all of the work, most of the work in fact, was also often left to the group leader to actually figure out the way forward. The compromising approach in this regard, members would refrain from expressing their true opinions, and this would minimize certain levels of group efficiencies in which the best possible solution couldn't be reached. Instead, we found solutions in which everyone was happy with, but might have not been the best solution for the team. The areas of Team Tshebedisano's development. We'll be discussing the team forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning phases of group development. Beginning with the awareness stage or team forming. The team had to clarify the collective goals and the ways in which we were going to achieve these goals, as advised by Robbins and Hansecker. This is the phase in which we were able to actually delegate team roles and responsibilities, as we have discussed in the previous table, the only table of the document. Moving on to the team storming or the conflicting stages, it reflects how the team went about solving problems faced within conflicts. In these cases, this related to what was discussed with the negative impacts of our compromising approach, in which complacency became a huge factor, and the more experienced members of the team were able to actually address the displeasement of the conduct of certain group members and how to resolve the actual conflicting opinions or behaviors. The team norming or cooperative phase. This refers to the creation of expectation in terms of behaviors and the goals outlined in Team Tshebedisano's mandate during this stage. This now would refer of the phase in which we were beginning to gel as a team. This occurred mostly during the time in which we had to initiate these interactive team building exercises, in which in the written assessment, you will find that Pictionary and 30 seconds were the games in which facilitated this. They helped. Cooperation was efficiently achieved through better communication skills, which were developed at the time, and which we hope can contribute to each member individually moving onwards outside of Team Tshebedisano. Now, the productivity phase was a phase in which there was a sense of cohesion and understanding with all group members. This came in the later phases of the completion of the assessment. As we felt more compelled, we realized the need to actually pull up our socks and to be more assertive in our approach and how we would work around the conflicting, even the external challenges that we had, such as the load shedding, as well as the time in which we had to work around our assessment. Team adjourning and separation. This refers to the conclusion of group-related tasks having been completed. The team had still felt a little more pressure, in which we had to also acknowledge the fact that there were other Boston-related assessments that had to be completed. So in the separation phase, it wasn't actually an official split of the team, because at the time of the recording of this presentation, the team is still together in the group chats, still helping each other with different assessments, showing that as a team we had formed an actual bond, an effective bond. Team Tshebedisano interactive highlights. The initial conference call. Members of the team had identified earlier in the initial ineffectiveness of online communications. We realized that with online communication, we are faced with challenges such as data connectivity, Wi-Fi, as well as the ongoing various stages of load shedding, which affect us in different kinds of ways. So a dual meeting strategy was implemented to mediate for the lack of contact hours. Sunday afternoons were scheduled for internet-supported conference calls, and Wednesday mornings were scheduled for on-campus meetings at the think tank. The team building activities were used as the means to improve the communication between team members. And the team building exercises, I have to mention, were conducted in person during our Wednesday sessions. This development exercise was used to assist more in particular the presentation supervisor, who at the time of the recording of this presentation could not be available as he was facing load shedding, to identify the most concise way to design a PowerPoint presentation that could sum up the required feedback that reflects the working relationship of efficient rehearsals. Also highlighted the team's continued commitment to the group cause, even in the later stages, as critical assessment and corrections had to be made in an attempt to rectify the several mishaps that could be found in the document. The last page. The lessons drawn from Team Tshebedisano's interactions. Team Tshebedisano initially learned or felt that the assessment could have been completed much more effectively had group members felt that the assessment in itself was much more specific about what had to be completed and what objectives had to be fulfilled. In essence, all group members showed a great sense of compromise in order to ensure the most effective results for the assessment could be established. The team thrived from a mixture of work experience and relative youth to ensure that the assessment objectives were fulfilled on the basis of leveraging on the team dynamics, as we had mentioned before, with Kuda Kwashe being more experienced in the online digital communication strategy, as well as with her, and with a sense of relative youth, in that we always felt energized to actually come together even during the middle of the night, although the team had initially agreed that midnight discussions were not allowed, but we felt compelled to actually fulfill the assessment by any means necessary. Thank you for your time, and I hope that this reflection of Team Tshebedisano's coming together from the norming stages to its adjourning had shown how much of a team effort we had put in to the written document as well as the presentation. Thank you.